And and that is what these was being done by Zomato. But suddenly you see that startup company, the market cap has crossed 1 lakh crore. This is the power of digitization for all of you. So what Zomato IPO highlights? Zomato IPO highlights that Indian capital markets have come of age and are very receptive and open to innovative business model. So one small step for Zomato, one giant leap for the Indian startups. So this is the context of today. Moving on, if you see what are the startup IPOs lined up in 2021, Delivery, Paytm, Nykaa, Freshworks, Flipkart, and Policy Bazaar. And what are the three waves of IPO companies? If you see, if you remember, what was the first wave of IPO? Who made IPO so successful in India? The first wave was brought in by Infosys and Wipro. They were the first set of founders led companies to create large scale shareholders' value. The second wave was created or consisted of internet based companies like Make My Trip and InfoEdge. And this is the third wave. The third wave is the consumer mobile startup like Zomato, Paytm, for many first generation founders to aspire and build innovative business. But then on the top of it, I mean, it would not be fair if I don't name the master, the father, the grandfather of all IPOs, and that was the prime mover of the equity cult creation in 1970-80 was Reliance Industries itself, which through its three issues between 1977 to 1985 raised an army of 12 million shareholders. So this is the IPO culture, and this is where we are going to move into. Moving on, private funding in 2021. Very interesting numbers. 12.1 billion is the total funding raised by Indian startup between Jan to June 21, and this is across 382 deals from private equity and venture capital firms. 31 deals with 100 million plus funding, and 16 unicorns emerged in 2021 so far. And if you really see the sector-wise funding split, that is even more interesting. 34% is contributed by e-commerce. Then you have almost 19% is fintech. You have smart logistics. Then you have enterprise software. So all of them combined together. But what you see is e-commerce itself is one of the major contributors. So these sectors are likely to continue to attract investments, gain mainstay relevance, and be a crucial peg in India's adoption to the post-pandemic world. So what does this all say? That private and public markets are willing to reward and provide capital to companies that solve customer problems at scale. I think the root at everything is whether you are able to solve customers' problem or not. If you really see in your day-to-day life also, I mean, if there's any application which solve your day-to-day requirement, that applications or that software becomes a hit. Whether you see in terms of something that helps you to do yoga, or it helps you to bring milk at your doorsteps, or it brings grocery at your doorstep, all of it that is helping you in your day-to-day life is becoming important, and they are the one becoming big. So what I really take really I would say there's a big takeaway from the current Indian market is consumer first. You have to think about the customer, and if you're able to help the customer, you're definitely going to win in this market. So what are the catalysts of India's digital disruption? I think Dr. Kavita was talking to me before the session started, and she said of the various activities that BMA has been doing. And one of the things she was saying that they continue to do the activities in BMA because of the digital media. No wonder. It was only because of digital media that we continue to forge ahead. We never missed seminars. We never missed webinars. Obviously, there was no kind of hand on the shoulder or taking kind of lunch or dinner together, or probably taking a cocktail together. But at the end of it, as far as the knowledge imparting is concerned, as far as knowledge sharing is concerned, I don't think we have really missed from our seminars day or from now on to the webinars day. And this is all brought about by the digitization. If digitization would not have happened, probably all this would not have been possible, and the life would have come to standstill, especially in this COVID era. So, what are the catalysts of India's digital disruption? Here we are. I actually take three pillars as the digital adoption in India. And what are the three key levers? First was connectivity, affordability, and accessibility. If connectivity was not there, probably all these would not have happened. The data that we talk about would not have happened.
Data ecosystem.
Yeah. So the first was the data availability. And for data availability, the connectivity was important. And let me tell you, the hard work that most of the companies, I would not single out Geo for that purpose. It was Geo, it was Airtel, it was all the other companies, Vodafone, Idea, all of them, they did a lot of hard work over the years. Laying a fiber, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is not a very easy task. Laying the fiber throughout the country, building up of towers, or providing connectivity in a seamless manner, not only in towns, metro cities, but also in villages, is not a very easy job. So connectivity is the real backbone of the digital adoption in India. But then is connectivity only would have helped? I still remember initially when
आपको
I
फोन दे
used
रहे थे,
to,
गेट आउट ऑफ माय हाउस। फोन है ना, कितने फोन चाहिए आपको? मेरे को एक फोन करने का।
Madam Reshma, I think you have to be on mute. Uh, but then was the data or connectivity only thing that was important? If that be the case, then the digital adoption would have happened even, 5 years back. I mean, I remember having used data at 1,250 rupees a GB. I've used it for a pretty long time at 250 rupees a GB. Can all of you, or probably, whatever we are doing as of today, was that possible if the cost of data was 250 rupees a GB? Absolutely, it was not possible. The fact that has been brought down to a dirt cheap level prices, we have made data affordable to everyone. So, affordability is the next one. The third one is accessibility. Accessibility typically means, is it accessible only in the metro cities? If that be the case, then what would have happened in most of the companies that in fact, I was talking to my friends in TCS, I was talking to my friends in Wipro, and they were saying that in fact, they are thinking that they would not open up offices, or to a very large extent they would not make it mandatory, they would make it optional. So meaning thereby, a guy who is actually from a village is able to do office even while, he is with his parents or taking care of them. Now, was that possible if the data was available only in metro towns and cities? No, it was not possible. Today, it is available in the remote villages. And that is why the guys, who came to the cities, who were living in cities, who were spending a lot of money, who were having a lot of establishment cost, and then, serving in companies like TCS, Wipros, Geos, or likes of the world, today, they can afford to be with their parents, they can take care of the parents, and yet do a job. And this was possible only because the accessibility has been provided. So the first pillar I always call as the foundation pillar for the digital adoption in India. The second is a device ecosystem. I will talk more about device ecosystem. Uh, Rohit Bhai, you have to be on mute. The second, I have to talk about the device ecosystem, and I'll take a little later about the device ecosystem and why it is more important. But the third pillar, to me, is the most important pillar. While first is a foundation pillar, the third pillar is the pillar on which your digital adoption is built. It is because of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the digital revolution that the government created, the initiatives that the government took, the front end leading that the government has taken, the digital India that is born as of today is one of the primary reasons for digital adoption in India. So these are the three pillars of digital adoption in India, and which has given inclusive growth and widespread adoption. I move on. Now, why that is possible? A very, very important thing, a truly, truly transformed industry. Now, let's see before and after. In July, I've compared 5 years back, July to September 2016. This was before the Geo launch, and now Jan to March 2021. Total data consumption in billion GB was just zero point 0.5, and now it is 27 billion GBs of data consumed in a quarter. And if you really see the jump, I think these percentages don't look very, very familiar. A percentage growth of 5,533% is absolutely astounding, absolutely, unbelievable in my sense, because when you really talk of increase or jump, normally you are used to see once, twice, 10x, 20x, 100x. This is not 100x. This is 5,533% jump in 5 years in terms of data adoption. What is the per user per month consumption in GB? You were using only zero point 0.5 GB per month, and now you're using 13 GB per month. That's a growth of 2,600% over what you were consuming. And I have to really thank all of you for doing such a widespread data adoption, which has really taken us to the next level of growth. As I said in my very first slide about Zomato, a small companies which was delivering foodstuff to your home, or probably a few other things. But today the valuation of Zomato itself is 100,000 crores. That is unprecedented. That is unbelievable. But why I spoke of affordability part, if you really see the affordability part, the cost per GB, which was 250 rupees per GB, 97% down. It is only 6 rupees per GB. That is what is available to you. The lowest now, obviously, in the country, and the lowest in the world, the lowest in the Asia region, everywhere else. In 2016, friends, the United Nations Human Rights Council passed a resolution which said that internet access is a basic human right. The same year, Geo was born to make this resolution a reality. And I think I will come back to all of you during the question answer session to really find out, isn't it a reality now? Yes or no? Moving on. And I just left when I spoke of device ecosystem, because I just wanted to showcase to you why it is so significant and why it is so important. If you really remember, the smartphones were available more than 10,000 rupees. Now also they are available at around 5,000 to 6,000 rupees. And they are not the one which are normally used by everyone. If you really see a good smartphone, it is still available at more than 10,000 rupees. Now, just imagine, can your housemate afford a smartphone of 10,000 rupees? The answer is no. Can people living in the villages or small towns afford a smartphone of more than 10,000 rupees for each of the family members? The answer is definitely not. We thought so. Um, MDA thought so. And he said, if you have really, if you have to make data accessible throughout the country, if you have to make data available throughout the country, to the rural parts, to the villages, to the small towns, we cannot live with a smartphone of more than 10,000 rupees. So there was a necessity to bring something which is equivalent to the price of a future feature phone. And that is how the Geophone was born. And what has Geophone done? Or the likes of Geophone at a later stage, what they have done. So today, the feature phone transition to 4G network is 100 million plus. So today, if 100 million plus have been able to use the data services, have been able to use the digital revolution, it was because an affordable a smartphone was available, which was given at a price of a feature phone. And this is the reason, this is the purpose of bringing the geophone. It was not that, we wanted to get into the devices market. It was important that we wanted to cater to the rural market, that this particular affordable phone was brought about. And it was rightly awarded as Handset Innovation of the Year at Asia's Telecom Excellence Award. Now, why did I say the third pillar is one of the most important pillar? I don't think any revolution can be successful if it is not adopted by the government. And what happened in case of digital revolution? It was wholeheartedly not adopted by the government. It was actually led by the government. And why I'm proud of showcasing this particular fact is, I think this particular slide would speak more than what I would say. I call this Jam Trinity, and this is how, it's very popular. So what does jam consist of? The jam consists of J, which is Jandhan, and Jandhan, as you all know, this is to handhold citizens in adopting digital payments and bank account. When you hear that 6,000 रुपए 12,000 रुपए सारे लोगों को गांव वालों को ट्रांसफर हो गए in seconds or in minutes, it is possible only through the concept of Jandhan account. I think I call as a pillar, the first in the alphabet, and to me, the most important thing in the Indian history of digital revolution. This is something which is Aadhaar. 99 plus adults have now enrolled in Aadhaar. This is your digital identity of secure systems, and this is only spearheading financial inclusion process. The last M in JAM is mobility, increased affordability and accessibility, which I just spoke about. So the JAM Trinity really shows that the government is leading by example. And just to put that in numbers, and as I said, most of the things you are already aware because you have read it in digital media or in various other platforms. But it is important to under the context that how digital revolution is building up in India. 40 crores plus accounts are opened under the Jan Dhan scheme. 1.3 lakh crores are the total deposits in Jan Dhan bank accounts. More than 50% are the holders of the Jan Dhan accounts. They are women. I think this is what is important. We all talk of women empowerment, but let us see the contribution of data. Let us see the contribution of digitization in women empowerment. More than 50% holders of the Jan Dhan accounts are women. And by the way, most of these women are from the rural towns, are from the rural villages and small towns. And 20,000 crores is the amount received by, 20 crore women Jandhan account holders under the COVID relief package. Now, this is extremely, extremely important. If this was not possible, then probably the benefit of COVID, the support that we wanted to do to the community as a whole would not have been possible if Jandhan accounts were not there. So 20 crore women's actually have been benefited under the COVID relief package, and this has been possible only through digitization. And mind it, if this Aadhaar was not there, if this digital identity was not there, in my opinion, we would not have been able to do all of that if Jandhan accounts were not there. So if you really see the script, I really call it, a kind of a super hit script. In fact, let me tell you, very recently, what women have done to the country in terms of hockey in Olympics. They may not have got the bronze, but to me, under the circumstances that they have played, and under the way they were groomed to become the hockey players and then playing Olympics at that particular level, it is something which really shows what women empowerment is all about. And now when they have done that, people are thinking of Chakde India, because this particular script that this ladies actually showed you, in the real world was very similar to the movie that you see in terms of Chak De India. So if you really see what is unfolding as of now today, this is virtually the script that has been laid to the digital revolution, and ultimately in making India a multi-billion dollar economy. I would not stop at 5 trillion economy, because to me 5 trillion economy is only a small number. India is poised to be multiple times of 5 trillion economy, and this is where the script has been laid for this entire thing. And the script, the jam scheme of government, or Atmanirbhar Bharat, that the Digital India mission has been created through the government initiative, is actually pointing all of us towards that. Now, is it only an intention? Is it only a foundation? Or is it only a preparatory work? No, the foundation is laid, and this has been demonstrated also in the Digital Tech and Union budget. And I will just pick up, three or four of them. Impetus on R&D with an outlay of 50,000 crores in the next 5 years to foster a culture of innovation, growth, and research, focus on digital education, emphasis on technologies such as data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning driven platform to enable e-courts and compliance management. Can you ever think, ladies and gentlemen, that the country's litigation, because you have been always used to some kind of a different atmosphere in a court, with both with some people talking, and then so many people sitting shouting and all of that. So that was a real time court. But could you ever imagine that litigation can happen online? Friends, litigations are happening online, and this is what the change has been brought about. And to me, this is one of the biggest change that the country has seen. Because at least even in my thought, when I really thought of digitization, I could never ever imagine that litigations can also be done through e-courts, and this has been possible through the data revolution. Adoption of AI and ML solution by Ministry of Corporate Affairs to reduce regulatory friction, prevent frauds, and improve compliance, and application of business intelligence and analytics solution to identify and counter evaders of tax like GST. In good old worlds, you would have never ever imagined that you have paid taxes, and your assessment has been done within a span of just 2 or 3 months, and you're able to receive the refund, or in most of the cases you're able to receive the acknowledgement immediately. If you're a good taxpayer, you're given various kind of token awards, or citations. All that is possible. I think, don't you think that actually gives us a feeling that is it the same India which was there 3 years back or 5 years back? At least I don't think so. In budget 2020, the Indian government has announced its plan to invest $1.12 billion in quantum computing research over the next 5 years. I mean, me and Dr. Vigyan, during one of our evening walk, we were talking a lot about quantum computing research. This is one of the mechanism which is going to take the next quantum leap. I will actually, maybe take more of it in some of my next session, when this particular technology would have really evolved by then. When I really speak of government initiative, I think it would not be complete if I don't talk about Atmanirbharta in pandemic during the Arogya Setu program. Arogya Setu, I am telling you, it is not only in India, entire world, even the United Nation has taken notice of the wonderful application, a wholesome application that we have created in terms of Arogya Setu. And this has been possible only because of the government initiative. And if you really see the punchline, Main Surakshit, Hum Surakshit, Bharat Surakshit, this punchline really moves me. Government owned application is being posed as the primary contact tracing tool in India. It acts as a one stop solution for spreading awareness about COVID 19, helping in self diagnosing users, stores and display e passes, it traces contacts, and even the entire vaccination program is being led by Arogya Setu and the COVID app. How many downloads? 150 million seamless downloads within 4 months of launch. And it is number one most downloaded contact tracing app in the world, top downloaded app in the health and fitness category since launch. That actually tells you the success story. Coven winning over COVID, 84 lakhs per day vaccination administered in a single day via Coven app. We really talk of technology. We really talk about नहीं ये तो गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में नहीं हो सकता, ये खाली प्राइवेट सेक्टर में पॉसिबल है. आई से दैट ये सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में हो सकता है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में नहीं हो सकता. इट इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट अडॉप्शन. इट इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ द मेटिकुलस एफर्ट्स planned by them, that you are able to see 84 lakhs per day vaccination administered. And we all really talk of technology, and we talk of this failing, that failing. Has Coven failed? Has Arogya Setu failed? In my opinion, apart from those small glitches which is there in any technical world, generally this has been a seamless platform, what we have seen during the COVID time. India's vaccination platform, built to scale and expected to handle more than 1 crore vaccination a day. That should make all of us proud. I don't think, as Indians, we take pride in ourselves. We should take pride in ourselves in terms of what we have created, in terms of Arogya Setu, in terms of the vaccination program that it has been able to handle. One of my US friend was telling me, when he saw the vaccination certificate, he was absolutely amazed that you have taken vaccination and within 2 minutes you're able to generate certificate. This is not possible there. In fact, many of those activities are still kind of manual. I mean, from there, and if you say that US is the most accomplished economy in the world, and then if you compare the Arogya Setu program, the vaccination drive program through COVID app, you will understand that digitization is the one which is taking all of us to the top of the world. And that is why I really call it as one of the most important catalysts in the growth of Indian economy. What it has done to the contribution in terms of contribution to economy, I think this makes the most interesting part of the entire conversation today: startups. I actually get really elated whenever I think of startups in a country. As I read more and more in terms of in LinkedIn, as I read more in Digital India, and as I see more and more startups evolving in the country, I think that makes me believe that we as Indian never ever understood that we don't need capital in terms of money. Money will actually become a byproduct. The biggest capital that India owns is the knowledge capital, and if we really use this knowledge capital effectively, the money or the dollars that you see or the reserves that you see is only going to be a byproduct. And today, if you see in all the leading big establishments of the world, the CEO is an Indian. So we as Indians have not used our potential of knowledge capital for our country. The day we start doing it, there is no reason why India will not be at the top of the world. And that is what the small startups are showing one by one. In terms of employment, 41,061 startups are recognized by the government. Almost 5 lakhs jobs have been created by them. So if in terms of employment, in fact, let me also share with you, and this is something which I would request all the BMA members also to do. I was just telling my CMA friends, I'm also member in one of the advisory board of cost and management accountants. I was actually telling them that most of the times what we do, I also told, I am also in the board member of SAS. I told them most of the time, whenever these recruitments happen, what do? We actually go to the top companies in India. We always think, let's go to TCS, let's go to Wipro, let's go to Infosys, let's go to Reliance Industries, let's go to HCL. But don't do that. Actually, you approach all the startup companies, and if our CMAs, if our management professionals can get in startup company, believe me, they can actually partner the growth that startups are doing. And as a matter of fact, probably who knows, the CMAs probably in a company like TCS, Infosys, or Reliance Industries at the end of 10 years would be earning maybe 50 lakhs or 1 crore. But in a startup organization, if they grow and if the startup comes back with an IPO, he can actually become a millionaire, or who knows, multimillionaire. So that is why we should actually encourage our youngsters to join startup companies and promote more and more startup companies. The startup companies are going to be benefited by a good talent from the management institute, and this is actually going to become a very, very big partnership in terms of pulling up knowledge capital. I believe this is a very, very important step. Has it contributed in FDI growth? The answer is yes. Global investors are investing in the Indian startup ecosystem, leading to increased FDI. How much has been invested? 23.2 billion US dollars is a funding raised by Indian startup in the last 18 months. So you see the success story: employment, FDI growth. And if there is one more barometer, let's see the third barometer: SMB growth. Startups are empowering SMBs in enhancing their reach and serve customers better. And just to give you a bit of examples, Ola, all of you know, increased business for cab drivers through easy discoverability. Paytm, all of us use in our day-to-day life. Sorry. Bringing digital payment into mainstream with easy to use interface. Oyo, improving businesses of budget hotels through standardization. And something like GeoMart, Grofers, Flipkart, Big Basket. These are the new channels of sales and enhanced geographic reach for offline retailers, offering new opportunities to Kirana stores and grocery stores. So they have also led to SMB growth. Now, coming on to my last section, is there an untapped potential? Answer is abhi to खेल शुरू हुआ है. So there is a huge untapped potential, and believe me, over the next 15 minutes, when you really look at this untapped potential, I'm sure all of you are going to be elated that there is so much to contribute, there is so much to see in terms of development, and there is so much, in terms of billions and trillions of dollars that is waiting for all of us. Let's see. And I have, by the way, I've taken only some of the sectors. There are many other sectors where, this potential can be unleashed. First of all, I was just thinking yesterday that let me look at myself. And if I really if I'm promoting digital ecosystem for the last, almost 18 months when this pandemic started, am I doing justice to me? Am I doing justice when I'm communicating this to all the listeners? And I just created this particular slide to actually convince me, and trying to convince all of you. Today, it has touched your daily life everywhere. And just see the photographs around. You can actually take time. I can actually give back this particular slide to you. But if you really look at this slide, it has touched our life, starting from the day when we start our life and the milkman comes. He is also through a digital app. In my case, it is Pride of India, an app application from Pune. Or when I'm doing yoga, again, I'm using application. And then obviously during webinars, application is used for my office meeting. MS Teams or Zoom or GeoMeet is used, or probably for vaccination, Covin. So, or for, Ola, or for, booking a hotel in Oyo. Everywhere, if you see, or the banking which comes at your doorstep, virtually it has touched your life every moment. I think in the 12 or 13 hours of work or that we do during the day, you will see that the digital application has touched your life. It has touched, and these are around areas across entertainment, healthcare, banking, e-commerce, payments, education, communication, navigation, gaming, and many more. So virtually it shows that, at the underlying layer of your day-to-day life, there is a digital spread, there is a digital revolution, there is a digital ecosystem, ladies and gentlemen. I spoke about knowledge as the new capital. And if you have still, if you believe this to be untrue, I will just give you example through numbers, because that is what, management professionals normally understand. They will not get convinced till the time we are able to explain them to numbers. This is a very well known slide brought to all of you once again, just to communicate this message. Uber, the world largest taxi company, it owns no vehicle. As so, look at the total valuation, 83 billions, as compared to Ford, 55 billions. Facebook, the world's most popular media owner, it creates no content. Yet, the total valuation is 1,028 billions, and as compared to AT&T, which provides you all the content, connectivity, everything, it is $199 billion. Alibaba.com, the most valuable retailer, has absolutely no inventory, zero inventory. The valuation is 536 billion, as compared to Walmart, which has got all the inventory, 408 billion. And Airbnb, the world's largest accommodation provider, it owns no real estate. Yet the valuation is 91 billion, as against Hilton, the biggest hotel, 35 billion. So doesn't this shows that knowledge is the new capital? If you have knowledge, if you use knowledge, then money is the byproduct, or valuation is the byproduct. None of these companies existed 20 years back. This is more important. I always say that the shelf life of a company is 15 to 20 years. So you have to think ahead, you have to think far, because everybody is thinking, and you have to outsmart the thinking that they are doing. And behind your thinking, it should always be, am I touching human lives? Am I helping the human beings? If the answer is yes, your valuation is multi-billion dollars. Untapped customers. So if you think that we have done enough in tapping 100 million customers because of the affordable smartphone, no, there are still 300 billion potential to transfer the next 300 million, to transfer the next 300 million customers to 4G from 2G, and make them available the data, and make them part of the digital revolution. 55% internet penetration in India. That is the possibility available to all of us. As I said, the penetration as of now is 45%. So another 55% internet penetration in India can still happen. This is the untapped potential. These are the untapped customers, target to increase penetration. And only 31% of the rural population is on internet currently, and they themselves have made a lot of difference to all of us in terms of Indian growth. Believe me, if this balance 69% also moves there, then you can understand the potential, and you can understand the opportunity in terms of human capital that is waiting for all of us in new applications for inclusive growth. These are the untapped customers. Untapped technologies. We are still in 4G, by the way. There is a lot which is going to happen in 5G. And if you really see in 5G where we are going to go, low latency use cases, autonomous vehicles, industrial automation, healthcare, smart city, infra traffic management, and AR and VR. So all these are areas which are still kind of untapped technology. The moment 5G comes, you're going to have all of that. It is going to enable automated and self-driving cars, real-time AI-powered robo integration. In healthcare, you are going to have remote surgery, connected devices for monitoring health. To a very large extent, it is already there. Smart city is going to one of the main pillars of the growth in Indian economy, and all these are going to happen through augmented reality and virtual reality. And all business meetings in any case are happening immersive gaming. We have already passed the foundation layer. We only have to build superstructure over this, and this is going to be possible through 5G. IoT. In fact, IoT is something which is going to change the life of all Indians in terms of connected density supported. Presently, the devices per square kilometer in 4G is 60,680. In 5G, it is going to be 1 million. And how it is going to touch all of us, if you really see in terms of automotive, instrument, healthcare, entertainment, appliances, automation, safety, wearables, remotes, toys, peripherals, infrastructure, security system, industrial system, agriculture. So nothing is going to be left behind, and this is going to happen through IoT. And why it is possible to through IoT? It is because of the high speed that it is going to give to all of us. Now, that was the untapped potential in terms of customers, untapped potential in terms of healthcare. Very, very interesting. And where we have to go. Sorry. If you really see, this is the 504.4 billion is the expected market size of digital health by 2025. How much are we spending? India is spending 1.5%. US is spending 18%. Even the small countries like Maldives is spending 9.4%. Thailand and Bhutan are also higher than India. So that means if you really see the spend on healthcare in India, it is very, very minimal. So we have to, as we scale up, obviously our potential in terms of growth is going to increase, not only in India, but also by giving it in the outside market. What is the per capita spent? In our country, it is only $63. As compared to US, it is $10,224. So this is kind of comparison. And even if I compare with the country's average of developed economies, it is 5,280. India, it is only 63 US dollars. So you understand, healthcare industry is the next industry which is going to take a quantum leap in India, obviously because of the initiatives taken by the government also, and the partnership that is happening with the pharmaceutical companies. We have already seen what has happened in terms of during this pandemic time. Most of our pharma industries have shown the rest of the world of the metal they have, of the potential they have in terms of supplying PPE kits, in terms of really partnering in the vaccination program. And this is only going to grow, by the way. India is the largest provider of generic drugs globally. India's pharmaceutical sector supplies over 50% of global demand for various vaccines. I mean, can you imagine that? I think, when I'm bringing all these numbers to you, not that, you would not have read all of that, but you would have gone this in pieces. This actually, on a comparative basis, gives you a feeling of deja vu that Indian pharmaceutical sector is supplying over 50% of the global demand for various vaccines. 40% of the generic demand in the US is catered by us. 25% of all medicine in the UK. Now, if you think that India is still called, a developing country, I don't believe so, right? If you see in terms of if they are contributing to the healthcare of the developed countries, I'm sure they should be taken at a higher level, at a higher platform. Somebody supplying 40% of generic demand in US or 25% of all medicines in UK. It should give us all Indians a sense of pride. By right blend of technology and healthcare, India can provide better solution and emulate its dominance in drugs market to the broader health tech industry. Now, don't you think, I touched only three. I touched Arogya Setu. I touch pharmaceutical sectors, I touch medicines, I touch contribution in terms of vaccines. And you've already seen the kind of potential that we have and where we can create dominance Indian market. And if you have the domination, obviously, this $1 billion or trillion dollars economy, in any case, would be at the back door. I also wanted to touch upon, and again, Dr. Vigyan knows this is one of my very, very favorite subject. I believe there is a lot of potential in agriculture. I have been trying to sell this particular idea to the management institutes, In fact, I'm not invoking. I'm actually provoking the young students to take up agriculture, build industries around agriculture, build digitization around agriculture. And if you really want to understand the potential, just look at the potential. Contribution to GDP. Of course, these are numbers. 400 billion is India's contribution. More than 1,000 US dollars is US contribution, and China has 900 US dollar billion dollars. India's arable land, and this is, by the way, India's arable land is almost equal to US and China. So now you can understand the potential that you have. So if you really want to touch, 1,000, if you bring it at par with the arable land and productivity of US or China, $500 billion in any case, gets added. But actually, you can take more. Based on its size, there is a scope of 150% growth in this sector if compared with US and China. And if you see the agricultural production tons per hectare, we are less than 3 tons per hectare. Belgium is approximately 9 tons per hectare. Netherlands is approximately 8 tons per hectare. If you're able to increase your productivity, you really understand, the whole potential that you have. Um, and if you want to understand the entire potential, look at my last sentence. Digitization is the bridge that can take India from a yield of 3 to that of countries like Netherlands, which use extensive digitization in agriculture. And what can it contribute in terms of dollars? If India can reach to the US or Chinese level in agricultural economy within 5 years, it can add 600 billion US dollars to the economy. And this is the untapped potential in an industry like agriculture. Education, huge untapped potential. Why? Because 43 crore children in the age group 0 to 18 in India. India is home to the largest population of children in the world. 60% students in rural India up to the age of 10 lack basic reading skills. 97,273 single teacher schools in India, which account for about 8.8% of the total schools in the country. And what is the evolving ecosystem? Most students, a part of connected generation, have grown up online and will expect the same level of technology in the learning environment in their day-to-day lives. By the way, 75% of the teachers believe that digital learning content will totally replace printed textbook within the next 10 years. And 75% of the students are very or somewhat interested in spending time learning more about the things they learn about in school when they are not in school. And this is the untapped potential in terms of education. Digital technology can help not only to provide modern methodologies of teaching, but to ensure equal access to rural areas and low income groups. This is the gaps in spending. So, if you really see in terms of education, healthcare, agriculture, this is the untapped potential. So, what you have is US dollars 342 billion is the expected global education technology expenditure by 2025. In terms of digital healthcare market, it is going to be $504 billion. In terms of agricultural technology and product market size by 2025, it is going to be $730 billion. So I only touched upon three sectors: education, healthcare, and agriculture. This itself can significantly contribute to the GDP. Digitization of the same can ensure increased contribution while keeping the investments in line. And all you Need is the knowledge capital which is available in bounty, in plenty in India. So, with this, I come to the end of my presentation. And with the words from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, nothing great ever gets done if you get deterred by obstacles in our path. By not aspiring, we guarantee failure. So, the success is beckoning all of us, and digital as catalyst will lead you towards that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all.
Dr. Kavita?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajneesh ji, for that wonderful presentation. And you made us feel very proud by showing the numbers and showing the reality that how much we have achieved, which generally we don't pay attention to. So it was very satisfying looking at the presentation that you have given today, a very different perspective. And as you have mentioned that there is a lot of opportunity and you have identified some of the sectors, I think the young students and the young entrepreneurs who are attending this webinar will definitely benefit from that. And there is a promise that every one of us we are seeing in this. I'll request my colleague on EC, Rishiji, to take it ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. It was a great session. And we have some questions over here. And the questions are like, digitization has mostly impacted the services sector in urban India. However, the impact appears to be insignificant in agriculture or rural cooperative sector. The digital divide in urban rural has become more deeper. So how will you go about this? Hello.
I don't know whether this question was given before my presentation or after my presentation because
Yeah,
because
that's right.
I thought digitization has bridged the gap between the rural and the urban. In fact, if you just look at the contribution that I said, the digitization has done in terms of agriculture, healthcare, education, and how it has brought education to the rural masses of the country by providing them affordable data, and how they are now connected and how they are growing in terms of startup. Many of the startup, if you see, are kind of small time people, and they are the one who have actually bridged the divide between urban and rural economy. So maybe the person who has raised that question, if he can also come up and discuss with me, I would be glad to know that, because I have reasons to believe that this gap has actually been bridged only thanks to digitization.
Yes, of course. Of course, the kind of opportunities, the gap areas, which are, the opportunities which are shown in your presentation. In fact, sky is the limit for us. There is another question by Mr. Rajiv Kumaria. Problem is startup are not working towards sustainability. Exit strategy approach is impacting long-term business and social impact of enterprise.
Yeah. So, see, I think all of us who have been part of business, they must have seen that, we normally talk about the success stories of business. We do not talk about the failure stories. Uh, Obviously, we also need to understand the failure stories. What is the difference between good and great? The difference between good and great is someone who learns from his mistakes and then continues on that path. If you would have heard Alibaba talking, or if you would have seen the example of KFC, you would have learned that they failed umpteen times before they become successful. Most of the times we actually take failures as the end of road. If you don't take failures as the end of the road, we are definitely going to grow. And the startup, if you see, are going to live the day. But the point is, do do I have the right startup, and am I have the right foundation layer in terms of contributing to the consumers, contributing to the customers, or making difference in our day-to-day lives. If we are not doing that, and if you think that still we would be successful while the customer is unhappy, that will not become. Most of the startup who have become successful, whether it is Baiju, whether it is Paytm, whether it is Ola, whether it is Oyo, because they have been able to help us, they have been able to ease our day-to-day life, and that's why they have been successful. So this success and failure stories, in my opinion, will continue, but the success stories itself is going to tell you that we have made a difference, not only in Indian economy, but also in the world economy.
Right, sir. There's an interesting question. Can digitization reach without literacy, more particularly in rural India?
Pardon, sir? Come back again.
Can digitization reach without literacy, particularly in rural India?
I think, it is eradicated literacy. Or iske liye, I think, I have to give you one example, even though in the interest of time. And this is something which I'm very fond of sharing. I was going to Amarnath, and I was just passing through from Srinagar. I was going to Amarnath, and मेरा driver था जहांगीर. And I just picked up conversation with him कि भाई आप डेटा यूज करते हो? तो कहते हैं साहब मैं भी यूज करता हूँ, मेरी बेटी है गांव में, वो भी यूज करती है. तो मैंने कहा कि अच्छा, वेरी गुड. तो बोला साहब अब तो पहले वो मेरे से सवाल पूछती थी, अब मैं उससे सवाल पूछता हूँ तो वो गूगल पे सर्च करके इमीडिएटली मुझे आंसर बता देती है. तो डेवलपमेंट अब खाली शहरों तक नहीं रहा, अब हमारे गांव में भी पहुंच गया है. So I thought this is where it has eradicated literacy by bringing data to the smallest of the villages. जहाँ पे schools आप setup नहीं कर पाते थे, colleges आप setup नहीं कर पाते थे, वहाँ पे आप education आप पहुँचा सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. In fact, literacy doesn't mean the certificates and other things. Literacy is the use of education through digital means also, definitely. Thank you very much, sir. And another interesting question which has come up is, what is the role of analytics in digital transformation? As digitalization focus on data and transformation deals with change?
देखिए, डेटा एक रॉ मटेरियल है, एनालिटिक्स उसके ऊपर लेयर है. खाली फाउंडेशन से काम नहीं चलता, बिल्डिंग बनानी पड़ती है. So obviously, without analytics, you will not be able to get the benefit or fruits of digitization. So आपने देखा ही होगा, in fact, in one of the seminar, I was asked a very simple question कि भाई हम लोग स्टॉक ब्रोकर्स हैं, हमें डिजिटाइजेशन से क्या फायदा होगा. So I said आपको सबसे ज्यादा फायदा हुआ है, बिकॉज पहले आप लोग को एनालिस्ट हायर करने पड़ते थे, पहले आपको ब्रोकर्स हायर करने पड़ते थे जो वो उस इंडस्ट्री के बारे में बताते थे. अभी आपको कुछ नहीं करना पड़ता, अभी इतना डेटा मार्केट में अवेलेबल है दैट उसकी एनालिसिस से ही आप पता कर सकते हो कि इस पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक में आपको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. इनफैक्ट उसका जो ग्राफ है जो ऊपर नीचे होता है वो भी मार्केट में आ जाता है कि फलाना इंसिडेंट हुआ है बिकॉज ऑफ विच the market is going to rise, or some incident has happened because of which the market is go down. So now in fact small investors are much more literate, educated to actually get into the stock market and do dealings. And this has been possible only through analytics. If this analytics was not there, it would not have been possible. So mere data is not going to help.
Yeah, we need to dig deeper, and through analytics, definitely the layer has to be very, very important. That only will give insights. Right, sir? There's another one. I think you have already explained this, that what are the sectors which are untapped. There's an interesting question that what are the major sectors still left untapped, as it has presence in every sector wherever we can see. In brackets,
yeah.
So though volume may increase even in already penetrated sectors.
Yeah, I think so. Digitization is a raw material.
Yeah.
It is going to touch each and every sector. As I said, अभी सेक्टर क्या, मैं तो कह रहा हूँ कि मैंने एक स्लाइड आपको ये भी दिखाई थी where it is touching our day-to-day lives from ये जो 12-14 घंटे जो हमारी डेली लाइफ होती है, it is touching every part of it. But then when I spoke of untapped potential, the untapped potential is very high in these three areas जहाँ पे digitization का quantum benefit या multiple benefit हो सकता है. if you really see, sir, in good old times, the manufacturing sectors की productivity increase हुई थी when technology increased in terms of bringing CNC machine, in terms of bringing automated machine, and that is where we were able to increase the productivity. The digital layer in every company can actually increase your productivity to multiple times. So while I've given you untapped potential of only healthcare, education, and agriculture, because these are one which actually can grow and take you to the world economy, but in every sector, this particular eventuality is there. And I think all the companies are using data to their advantage.
Thank you, sir. In fact, let me ask you one of my personal questions, sir. I work for Vocard as head of training and digital, and I'm always in a dilemma. Buying a digital technology is just like getting into a marriage. You buy one technology and there's a better one next month coming up. How do we go about it?
Yeah. So, see, I think the first thing, let me tell you, sir, because you are on Vocard, you are from Vocard, I'm very proud of this particular sector, the way it has contributed to Indian economy, especially during this COVID time. I have seen the impact of digitization. The impact of digitization, if you really tell me, has been maximum on the healthcare sector, which has been able to grow up to its potential. Now, coming to your specific question, yes, the technology will keep on changing. The technology will keep on evolving. बट अगर आपने बैकड्रॉप में देखा होगा कि ऐसा अभी तक मार्केट में कोई प्रोडक्ट नहीं था जो आपको फ्री में मिलता है. ये सारी एप्लीकेशंस they come to you at almost at a very very minimal cost, and therefore आप safely जब भी चाहे इसको upgrade कर सकते हैं at a very minimal cost. In fact, you put this to competition so that people are able to help the consumers more and more. Let them develop technology. And as I said, knowledge is our biggest capital, knowledge is our biggest asset. So लोग जितनी हमारी लाइफ को आसान कर पाए उनको आने दीजिए. सो नई टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, नए एप्लीकेशन आते हैं, तो उससे घबराइए मत. इनफैक्ट अगर वो आपको बेटर सप्लाई प्रोवाइड करते हैं, अगर आपकी ईज ऑफ वर्किंग होती है, तो उनको आप स्ट्रेट अवे अडॉप्ट करिए. सो यू डोंट हैव टू मैरी टू अ पर्टिकुलर एप्लीकेशन, इज माय ओपिनियन.
Thank you. You're making my job easier, definitely. I hope it does. These are the interesting question. Is there any framework or scrutiny checklist which you use while checking how promising the respective startup is in coming years, kind of thing?
No, please come again, Karunji.
I think he asking, Hardik is asking that, is there any framework or scrutiny checklist which should be used, how promising the startup is?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that is more important is for any startup company, it has to be innovative, because innovation is the key. So the first thing is they have to believe that the innovation that they are going to bring in the market is something that is not existing. That is one. As they built around it, I personally believe that the venture capital and private equity funds, ये सारे बाज की तरह बैठे हुए हैं उसको लपकने के लिए. एंड वो जितना हम सोच रहे हैं उससे ज़्यादा वो रिसर्च करते हैं. वो ये सारे स्टार्टअप्स को ढूंढते रहते हैं कि वो कौन सा स्टार्टअप है जो इनोवेटिव सर्विस प्रोवाइड करने वाला है. उसके पीछे पीछे आके वो पैसा स्पेंड करते हैं. सो ही डजंट हैव टू worry about capital. If his product is strong, if his innovation is strong, money will automatically come. Yes, I think one of the important point that has been raised here is, as you grow up, ensure that you take care of the risk factor. आपका risk बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं रहेगा because the financial capital is already there at the back of you. But there are other related risk in terms of compliances. So इसीलिए I think it is important, मैंने शायद बताया होगा कि मैनेजमेंट, जितने भी हमारे मैनेजमेंट प्रोफेशनल्स हैं और प्रोफेशनल बॉडीज हैं, इन सारों को आई थिंक दे शुड अप्रोच स्टार्टअप कंपनी सो दैट दे कैन हेल्प देम in all those factors, because they are good in technology, they are good in brains, they may not be good in administrative work. We actually can help them in all those administrative work, and that is where I was alluding to a very very good partnership. So they will take care of the risk and compliance part while he can focus on the technology, innovation, and the marketing part.
Right, sir. I think there's another interesting question. What are the major KPIs to be considered for digital transformation?
So I think the biggest KPI is customer, customer, customer. Customer obsession is the key. Innovation is number two. Diligence is number three. How you are able to take care of the digital risk factors is number four. And ultimately, how strong you are able to market your product first to get the financial capital and later on to put your product in the market is the last one. So these टू मी आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट केपीआईज और जब भी उनको ये चीज सोचनी हो लेट देम थिंक ऑफ बाइजू लेट देम थिंक ऑफ जोमैटो लेट देम थिंक ऑफ स्विगी लेट देम थिंक ऑफ पेटीएम लेट देम थिंक ऑफ ओयो ये आंसर उनको अपने आप मिल जाएगा if they can just look into their success stories. I think all the KPIs, underlying KPIs that I said are already there.
Absolutely. Customer satisfaction, customer experience, personalization. These are some of the things which definitely should be considered of, as you rightly said, sir. I think one question has come over here, but I think you have already answered it, that while digital age is benefiting and impacting positively, a lot of jobs are becoming redundant also. How does society and industry take care of that?
Yeah, while I answer this question, definitely give time to Karun Sharma ji. He has raised hand. But before that, sure. I will just answer the question that you've asked.
Sure.
I think just for my sake, you'll have to repeat the last part of it so that I'm able.
I mean, it said that although digitization has impacted positively, a lot of jobs have become redundant. Yeah. How does the society and industry take care?
Rishi ji. So I think there is no. I think I would be wrong if I say that some of the monotonous jobs are going away. अगर आप clerical job में हैं, if you're in clerical job, those jobs will go away. For all mundane or repetitive kind of jobs, those jobs will go away because they will be taken over by artificial intelligence and machine learning platforms. So those jobs would go, but then new jobs will be created, and those jobs would be more and more rewarding. For example, even if you see in terms of data market, abhi jab hum when we are in data market, we require a lot of data professionals. So when we require a lot of data professional, ab ye analytical job cannot be done by one person. You need lot of people to do that. In fact, for my CMA institute, and CMA Mr. Basant is also there, he would also like to discuss. But I think one of the things that I've done in CMA Institute is I actually supported them and I requested them, which, they agreed to have a data analytics course as a part of their curriculum. And after that, most of the people who are doing that are very, very happy because either they are upskilled, they are able to get a better job. And even if they want to do something on their own, they are able to do that. So you have to upskill yourself. The new skills that are coming in the market are available at without any price. आप अगर LinkedIn में जाएं तो LinkedIn में कितने सारे कोर्सेज हैं जहाँ आपको एक पैसा भी खर्च नहीं करना पड़ता और आप वो डिग्रीज अटेन कर लेते हैं. So you learn that free of cost, and after that the market is open for you. Why you have to cling to the repetitive jobs that were done 5 years back or 10 years back? So upgrade yourself. The previous job will go, the new jobs will come, is my understanding.
Absolutely. In fact, just before pandemic, I had attended one of the seminars, and where I learned that about 1.5 million jobs are getting redundant, but at the same time, 2.5 million jobs have been created also because of digital.
Absolutely.
So that is it. So Karan Sharma ji, please, can you unmute and please ask the question?
Rajneesh ji, excellent presentation. It has actually created a higher temperature in my body because it seems there is a lot of things in me to come out. I am a chemical engineer and now 68 years of age, have a lot of management system work for Quality Council of India, life and management system coach. But the digitalization is kind of holding me back. So at this age, it's an inertia of rest which is coming up. I just wanted to have your opinion that which way to go, either to find another partner who can take me digitally smooth that way, or myself should get learned about the current realization and then move ahead.
Yeah. So, Karunji, I think thanks for your compliments. I personally believe that digitization uh, doesn't require teachers, by the way. You definitely require, some people to support, but definitely you don't require teacher. And for a person of your teacher, I think, self-learning is the best learning. I was just giving one example to Rishiji that if you go to LinkedIn, there are variety, or if you go to Coursera, which is available free of cost, there are hordes and hordes of courses available which one can enroll. It's a self-learning platform, and it actually ends up in giving you very good knowledge in terms of whatever you want to do. And you can actually tread into any area, Karunji, because the fact that you are from the chemical industry, MDA was a chemical engineer, and Mr. Mukesh Ambani was a chemical engineer. And just see that when Geo was to born, in one of the meetings at Antilia, he told us that what got us here will not get us there. And he typically was saying that we have actually reached the plateau of our entire petrochemical sector, because we have reached up to refining of crude oil. अब हम crude oil तो बना नहीं सकते. So that means, what got us here is not going to get us there. To reach the next level, we have to change. And that is how Geo was born. So, and probably he can be one of the biggest motivator and inspirer in your journey when you want to transform yourself. And obviously, you can connect me on LinkedIn whenever you want. I'll be available for your support.
Thank you so much, sir, Rajesh. Yes, as you said about Mukesh Ambani, I have validated a CDM project of Reliance as a top validator with head validator from Bureau Veritas. So the connection and the statement which you showed actually in that Mukesh Ambani company, Hazira, it was the message that time was growth is life.
Yeah.
Everywhere I was finding. Now it's a little change, but that was the growth of life.
It
Thank
is,
you so
it is
much
still
for
there,
your.
sir. It is still there. Our punchline is growth. Growth is life.
Yeah.
Great, great. Growth is definitely life. Thank you, Karanji, for asking question.
Thank
And what got you here will not get you there. Marshall Goldsmith, the ultimate guru, definitely is the light for this session also. Okay, can I request Arun Sehgalji, please ask his question or give his valuable comments, please.
Yeah, and Rishiji, Mr. Basanji is also there. He's my colleague,
Yes, yes.
my colleague. So he also wanted to raise a question. So maybe after
Yeah,
that,
sure.
we have yeah.
Definitely. Come back to it.
Thank you, Rishiji, for giving me this opportunity.
Right, sir. Welcome, sir.
Actually, one of the best presentations that I have been part of in a long time. So congratulations, Rajneesh ji. वो कहते हैं ना तीसरी आंख खोली है आज आपने हमारी. So the question I have is this about the startup ecosystem. I'm looking at a lot of startups in the US and UK, and I see them growing so fast. And when do you think we will catch up? Because even a small country like Israel, is really churning out a lot of acceleration actually in the startup ecosystem. And you said rightly that knowledge is the real capital. पर अब इस capital को अगर हमने use करना है, exploit करना है, so I think there are certain areas in which the industry, the government, everyone has to work together. So what are your insights in this? What we can do as Indians to really come at par with the world?
So I think, Arunji, as I said earlier, the foundation is laid. The path is shown by Zomato, the path is shown by Swiggy, the path is shown by Baidu, and many more are going to come. आपने अगर ध्यान दिया हो तो मैंने ये भी बताया था कि ये जो प्राइवेट इक्विटी फंड्स एंड वेंचर कैपिटल फंड्स हैं, इनफैक्ट बहुत लोगों के पास पैसा है, दे डोंट नो वेयर टू इन्वेस्ट. In fact, they are actually partnering most of the startups. So अगर आपका idea strong है If your innovation is good and if it is customer centric, there are people to pump money into that. In fact, my good friend from Infosys, Mohandas Pai, is actually, funding a lot of startups. Reliance itself is funding a lot of startup. If you would have seen that how many startups we have acquired over this particular period. So I personally believe that ये थोड़ा सा वक्त लगेगा. And जैसे जैसे more of why I'm extremely happy in talking to the BMA professionals, and by talking to you and spreading the message through you to the management institutes of this country, as more and more brain come into this particular sector. Because ये एक मिश्रण है. You need the knowledge capital, which is the most important thing. You need technology background, you need administrative background. जब ये तीनों चारों मिलके एक स्टार्टअप क्रिएट करेंगे, तो वो स्टार्टअप सक्सेसफुल होगा ही होगा. एंड आई थिंक
सर
इन द राइट डायरेक्शन.
कहीं ना कहीं सर, लेकिन एक चीज हो रही है, when they come into the growth phase, they go to Singapore, they change their headquarters, they go to Silicon Valley, and the real value add when it is happening, we Indians lose that. उसके लिए मेरे को लगता है सर कुछ करना चाहिए.
No, I think the fact that the government itself is promoting this as Atmanirbhar Bharat and Digital India Revolution, and they themselves are promoting. And in fact, Arogya Setu का मैंने आपको example बताया. One of the biggest thing that we should be proud of is the Covaxin. I mean, it was easy for the Covaxin owner to go to any of the foreign market and make a lot of billions of dollars there. But then he stayed in the country, and look where he has grown. I still believe the pride of having an Indian flag, the pride of being an Indian doing something is much important that earning millions of dollars in a foreign country. And when you speak to people like Sundar Pichai, they actually resonate. Ultimately, we miss that why we have not done for India, and in a small way they're trying to contribute. I'm sure these two things that are building at the background is a very good combination: the knowledge capital, the right kind of atmosphere, and government adoption. And obviously, the foundation layer that has been built over a period of time. All this is definitely going to help a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ranjan. Yeah, over to Rishi.
Rishiji, you are on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, there was some background noise that is going on mute. Thank you, Arunji, for the question and the great answer, sir. In fact, when you gave that example, I recalled immediately when I got myself vaccinated, I got the message instantly. Whereas my cousin in US, he showed me a printed copy, and I said, "See, we are more advanced than you guys." So, can I request Basantji? I think Basantji, Basant, I'm not able to see. Can he ask a question, please? You're talking about your colleague.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. First of all, I would like to thank the BMA for permitting us. I'm a CMA, and I'm very fortunate to have got this permission to attend this nice seminar. So, while this topic is of interest of everyone, but I am working in a service sector company. I'm in a PSU, and I'm also in charge of the CFO of that company. It's a small company. One pertinent question I think is I would like to know that while we are talking about the potential of the data and digitization, one problem is cropping up with it is that there is redundancy of data is also there, and no one is looking after that side of the coin, because we are facing that lot of data is lying there, although that may still lie untapped. So how to destroy that? Because no one is aware about that kind of thing. We are still learning how to get more and more data. But similarly, it is creating a problem of data redundancy also. So is there any guidance or any suggestion for that, sir?
Yeah. So first of all, CMA Basanji, it's a privilege that you are here as a part of this seminar. So I think so today we should not think of that. If I really ask you, Basanji, because there is a huge potential, there is a huge storage capacity available. The fact that we have moved the data from servers to cloud means there is an abundant platform available to store the entire data. And only if the data, if there's more of data, then churning becomes possible, then analytics becomes possible. तो मैं तो बल्कि कहूंगा कि 50 साल का डेटा अब रहना चाहिए on the cloud platform, so that you are able to build the right kind of predictive analysis. आप believe करिए that if I can actually take all your brain, if I can take Rishiji's brain, if I can take Dr. Kavita's brain, your brain, and store it at some place, and later on use analytics by which I am able to tap the potential that there are certain questions which can only be answered by Rishiji or answered by Kavitaji, then probably, and I create a Google sort of that, then probably in good old world, अभी तो आप कोई information डालते हैं तो आपको Google से निकल जाती है. तो tomorrow there would be a search engine by which any kind of thought or brain or any action that we have to take, we can actually learn from the experience of people who have done this for last 20 years or 30 years. So you will be able to find out that if there is a problem 50 years back, it was solved by such and such gentleman in a particular manner. Why don't you try that method? If that is available, don't you think it is going to be something to take us to the future? I joined in a public sector company. I started my career in BHEL, and let me tell you, this is something which I always quote, that whenever I had any kind of a problem, be it related to accounts manual, stock verification, stores manual, I used to say refer para 2.13.2 of this manual, and this particular answer is available. So they have created everything already on a printed medium. Today, there is a possibility of it being available on a digital platform. So in my opinion, let's not worry, let's there be more and more of data so that we are able to churn more and more analytics out of that.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, it was a kind of misconception, I think, and most of persons are having this type of misconception. So thank you very much, sir, for clearing this down.
Thanks a lot. Over to Rishiji.
Rishiji, you are on mute.
Thank you, Basanji, for a great question. And in fact, it is a dilemma which you have asked for every organization. And I think rightly said that we can always, I hope somebody stores my brain also. Okay. Can I request Inderpal ji to please give a comment on this, please, and your feedback, sir? Inderpal ji is a past president of BMA.
No, undoubtedly, very, very powerful presentation, sir. And the fact that you are coming from BHEL engineering company, it's really sort of strikes some very pleasant connections. I have seen many of BHEL's plants, particularly Bhopal and Trichy and others. We are also into fabrication business and stuff like that. So the heavy engineering is one of the areas where India can be competitive globally. So have you any information that they are adopting digital technologies to become globally competitive? Because still today, the world is being dominated by the Koreans and the Chinese. Japan has apparently fallen behind to some extent because they're very expensive. And India can have a great sort of a role to play in that. So in this heavy engineering kind of industry, which are very skill-based, where complicated welding is done, all kind of machining is done, etc. Have you come across good utilization of digital technologies to become globally competitive? And if not, then why they are not adopting? What is coming in the way? Because when we can dominate the market.
So thanks, Indrapal ji. And let me tell you, sir, that I left BHEL in 95. So it's almost more than 20 years, more than 25 years now. But even those times, we were actually challenged by companies like Siemens. Agar aapko dhyan hoga, when this 1991 liberalization came, and the other companies were also allowed to compete, some of our NTPC orders were taken over by these companies.
Yes.
And why this was, and that time itself, technology in any case, we were great even in those days in terms of, as I spoke of CNC machines and all of that. But we actually changed the mode of costing. जो मेरे कुछ costing के friends यहाँ पे available हैं, they would be understanding, you know, we used to adopt the concept of total cost. और उस टोटल कॉस्ट के ऊपर फिर बिल्टअप किया जाता था. सो मैनेजर अपने 5% लगाता था, जीएम उसके ऊपर 5% लगाता था, बिकॉज सबको ये लगता था कि अगर लॉस हुआ प्रोजेक्ट में तो गवर्नमेंट उनको छोड़ेगी नहीं. तो सब अपने अपने कॉस्ट पैडअप किया करते थे, सो दैट अगर 5-10% इनएफिशिएंसी हो भी गई, स्टिल यू नो बीएचईएल वुड ऑलवेज बी प्रॉफिटेबल. But then when we started losing orders to companies like Siemens, immediately we shifted from the total costing approach to marginal costing approach, where you don't absorb fixed overheads. And we just lost a couple of orders. Immediately after that, you know, we were back again. And if you see, BHEL again is BHEL and NTPC back. So I think these public sectors are very apt in adopting the new technology, the new changes, because of the pressure from the government, and because of being the pressure of being a Navratna itself. They are also adopting digital technology. Probably it needs to increase more of pace, but then with government adoption, a lot of changes is happening. My current, in fact, the current director of finance is one of my ex-colleague, and I was telling him that, you know, digitization has to be adopted there. So I'm sure in heavy engineering industry also it would be adopted. But मेरे हिसाब से इंद्रपाल जी इम्पोर्टेंट है कि ये दोनों का मिश्रण होना चाहिए. डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी एक लेयर है और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक बेस है. सो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और डिजिटाइजेशन जब तक एक साथ नहीं चलेंगे तब तक ग्रोथ नहीं हो पाएगी. For example, you cannot think of digitization in a pharmaceutical industries without, you know, the pharmaceutical industries itself. So pharmaceutical industry also has to grow and upgrade. उसके ऊपर अगर digitization की layer built up हो जाती है, then obviously सोने पे सुहागा.
Yes, definitely. In fact,
Or
sir,
also in public sector, though, sir, other thing is what I've noticed that physical resources are there. I used to visit Rishikesh plant very often, and I would see so many CNC machines. You know, that time Mr. Bhaskar Reddy was the managing director there, and a brilliant engineer who joined Maruti later and so on. I mean, you can't come across a better engineer than Mr. Bhaskar Reddy in that sense. So, लेकिन पर उनकी जो productivity वगैरह थी काफी low हुआ करती थी, and they had no shortage of resources. I mean, the huge areas, machines, men, everything was there.
But
So
competition
to become at a globally level, that to be like say ABB or Siemens or any other leading boiler and heavy heat exchanger making company, I think something more is required, which may put it as a very enlightened management. And somehow their hands were tied. I mean, we could not see any difference between the capabilities of people. They could solve almost any problem. In fact, our problems we used to refer to them, you know, take their eye. But
I think
somehow that thing used to hold them back. I hope those things have changed now. And I think digitization could be a very fresh impetus in their armor for very capable people in the public sector to take those companies forward.
Sure, sir. I think, you know, ultimately the Indian tenacity is when challenged, we show our best. So I think, you know, now that these particular sectors are being challenged, they will definitely come up, will adopt new technologies, and they would grow great heights. Thank you, Indrapalji. Over to Rishi.
thank you, Indrapalji. Thank you, sir. And I must appreciate Rajneeshji, your calmness, coolness, patience, the way you are answering questions. In fact, there are a lot of questions. We wish we could have extended the session, but great session by you, sir. And I mean, everybody. There are a lot of compliments in the chat box. Then the questions, in fact. So once again, thank you very much. Before I hand it over back to Kavita ma'am, some of you have shown your interest to join BMA. You may directly go to the BMA website and join over there. The cost is less than a good family pizza, friends. So don't hesitate in upskilling yourself with the sessions like this one. So back to Kavita ma'am, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Rishi ji, and thank you, Rajneesh ji, for that wonderful session and the interaction that we had. I will request all the participants to please keep your videos on for a photograph that we will have as a memory of this particular session, which will be shared with you as a BMA smiling moments. And I'm sure you are enjoying the webinars that we are holding. Coming week, we have on 11th in under Wednesday Wisdom webinar, we have demystifying coaching. We have our EC member, Shri Shripad Ranade and his team from ICF, who will be doing a demonstration. On 13th, we have Dr. Surya Narayan Iyer, who will be talking about digital HR transformation opportunities. So we are now, after digitization leader speak session, we also have a session which will talk about HR and how digital HR transformations are having opportunities and implications. So do join us. Please visit our website, visit our YouTube channel, BMA YouTube channel, where over 170 interesting webinars are uploaded. Like them, we would request all of you to join us on Wednesdays and Fridays from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you, Rajneesh ji. We overshoot little bit, but then it was really interesting, and we were not willing to leave any question that the participants have asked. Thank you for your time, and good day to everyone. Do join us on 11th of August at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Very much. God bless you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.